Hey everybody, so it's Friday, which means it's time for another episode of NHL Remember Him. And today we're going to talk about one of, I think, the most underrated players in NHL history, and a player who put up massive points over his NHL career, yet is hardly ever even spoken about now, and it seems almost completely forgotten, despite playing in the NHL for 22 years. That player is Ray Whitney. So Ray Whitney had a tremendous NHL career. He played 1,330 career games, scored 385 goals, 679 assists for 1,064 career points. On top of that, in the playoffs, he played 108 career playoff games, scoring 21 goals and 32 assists for 53 playoff points. Whitney was drafted in 1991 by the San Jose Sharks in the first round, 23rd overall. Once he got it started in the NHL, he ended up being a tremendous point producer, scoring, multiple 50-plus point seasons, multiple 70-plus point seasons. He was such a consistent and awesome player, and really could produce offense throughout his entire career. Like I said, he came into the league in 1991 with the San Jose Sharks, played with San Jose through 1997. Then he split the 1997-98 season between the Edmonton Oilers and Florida Panthers. He stayed in Florida for a few more years until 2001. Then he went to Columbus for the first part of the 2000s until 2003. He played the 03-04 season with the Detroit Red Wings, just a one-year stop in Detroit. And then he went to the Carolina Hurricanes from 2005 all the way until 2010. He was on the Stanley Cup winning 2006 Hurricanes team. He was a big part of the Hurricanes teams in that stretch when he was there from 05 to 2010. By 2010, he had gone to the then Phoenix Coyotes. Now they're the Arizona Coyotes, but they were still Phoenix back then, where he played a couple seasons with them, and then he finished his career from 2012 to 2014 with the Dallas Stars. Whitney played 22 years in the NHL. That is a very long career, and he wasn't a big guy. He was 5'10", 180 pounds was his listed height and weight. He was a guy that, especially playing in the 90s and early 2000s, you think about what the game was like back then, especially physically. It wasn't easy for a guy like Whitney to stay healthy and continue to play in a league like that. But he was able to do it. And while he certainly did deal with injuries throughout his career, if you just go down and look at his games played totals for season by season, there were some years that were definitely riddled with injury. However, there were also plenty of seasons where he played 80, 81, all 82 games. And he was able to stay healthy enough that he could play in the league for 22 years. But he was an absolutely tremendous player. He was nicknamed the Wizard because of what he could do with the puck, and definitely more of a assist player. Even though he was a wing, he was more of an assist setup type guy than a goal scorer. Although he certainly could score goals. Had many 20-goal NHL seasons. Had a few 30-goal seasons. But for the most part, he was known for his setup abilities, and his assist totals were fantastic. Obviously, almost 700 assists in the NHL over the course of his career. That's very, very good. But for some reason, despite playing over 1,300 NHL games, despite having over 1,000 career points, and being a Stanley Cup winner, Ray Whitney is just not a name that you hear about anymore. And he's a guy that I think is extremely overlooked, extremely underrated and underappreciated. He was a tremendous player, and he was a tremendous player in 3 different decades, in the 90s, in the 2000s, and even at the end of his career in the 2010s. He certainly wasn't the player, at the end that he was, in the prime of his career, but he had a 77-point season in 2011-2012 with the Phoenix Coyotes. 77 points at that age, at the end of his career like that. I mean, he was a very, very good player from start to finish. And he's just a guy that I think more people should talk about, more people should know about, and should, get a lot more recognition for the extremely good career that he had. There are a lot of players that fly under the radar as far as the NHL goes, and it seems like we tend to gravitate towards talking about the same players over and over, and it's like this group gets remembered and then this group doesn't. Ray Whitney is definitely in the group that has not been sufficiently remembered for the career that he had. I certainly missed the beginning of his career. I was born in 1996. I don't even remember him even with Detroit, really. My first, remembering hearing the name of Ray Whitney was with those Carolina teams. And certainly when he won the Cup with Carolina in 2006, it was like, okay, that's a name that I know. And I remember him of playing in Carolina for a long time, 5-6 years with the Hurricanes. Then I do remember him going to Phoenix and ending his career in Dallas, but I missed the whole first part of his career. He was still a very, very good player then as well. Definitely a guy that I think deserves more recognition and more, more, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I'm blanking on it, but he just deserves to be remembered more than he is, and he deserves, to be recognized as one of the top players, certainly of this generation, because he was a remarkable, remarkable player, and his just consistently high point totals and helped every team that he was on. So, Ray Whitney, a guy that not a lot of people talk about, but was a 1,000-point scorer, over 1,300 games, 22 years in the NHL, Stanley Cup champion, an absolutely tremendous player in 3 different decades, which is just, you don't see that very often. So that does it for episode 18 of NHL Remember Him. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.